So basically it took me 96 days from the first day of business to quit my job and go full-time to being a business owner doing laser as a registered nurse. Okay. Hey guys, so my name is Leslie. I'm a registered nurse in California, specifically in Orange County, and my car battery died this morning, so I couldn't make it to work. So I thought this would be a great time to film the updates on my business and the transition that I'm going through. So I graduated nursing school in 2022. So I've been a nurse now for almost 4 years, 3 to 4 years. And the first job I got out of nursing school was working at a laser hair removal clinic. It was super busy. I really liked the job. I liked the clients. It was a really fun job. And I liked that you had a lot of autonomy. You had your own room and you had a lot of regular clients who would request you. The only thing that I didn't like was that the pay was really low, I thought, for my nursing degree. And they wanted me to work every single weekend. And just the type of clinic that it was extremely busy. So something that I found that I didn't like was that they would double and triple book and overlap clients so that they were literally just stacked on top of each other. So we were just rushing through our day, like we didn't even have time to go to the bathroom or take a sip of water in between clients, which unfortunately led to clients being oftentimes burned, not getting appropriate care. Sometimes they wouldn't even finish their appointment, especially if they had long appointments or they were doing multiple body areas. Like say they wanted to do their arms and their legs and their back, which we had a lot of clients do a bunch. A lot of times we didn't even have time to finish doing that. So I worked there for a while, and then after that I went to a GI outpatient surgical center. I worked there for a little bit and it was fine. The pay was better. The coworkers that I worked with were great, but after a while the job just was so repetitive and monotonous, and it wasn't challenging enough, at least personally for me. No offense, but I thought like a literal monkey could do my job. So I just wanted something a little bit more challenging. Again, a lot of the doctors were difficult to work with, but that's kind of a given with nursing. There are a lot of interesting and difficult personalities that you have to get used to. Again, I worked there for a little bit, and then I found myself really being drawn to the OR, so I really wanted to try to get myself into the OR, although that's a little bit difficult sometimes. I did manage to get a job at an outpatient surgical center that does orthopedic surgeries, so I was an OR circulator there. Good pay jump. I was extremely happy with the pay. The hours were also really awesome, and that's what I like about outpatient is it was Monday through Friday. Usually no weekends. Sometimes we would pick up a Saturday shift for a certain doctor who only did cases on Saturdays, but that was overtime, so it was like time and a half, which was awesome. The hours varied. Sometimes you would get off at your scheduled 8 hours, but sometimes with surgery, if a surgery runs longer, then you have to stay. You can't just walk out and say, oh, I'm done at my 8 hours, and just leave the patient and the doctors and the whole team hanging. Personally, I really love the OR because I liked building relationships and working with a certain team, and you're usually working with a similar team every day. And personally, I like that the patients are asleep. I know, naughty of me, but most of my patients were going to be knocked out very soon after I interacted with them. So my job was more to make sure the surgical team and the surgeon and the surgical tech had everything that they needed, because they need to stay sterile. So if they needed extra tools or instruments, I would go and get it for them. And then working alongside with the anesthesiologist who was in charge of keeping the patients safe. So if their vitals happened to look a little bizarre, or their breathing was impaired, then I, along with the anesthesiologist, would then help the patient. So I worked there for a while, and it was great. Again, there's always different drama and personalities and political things that you have to deal with any job, and that comes with the territory. But I've just always kind of been more independent and business minded, and I like autonomy. And although this position did give me a lot of autonomy, it was still very irritating sometimes just to have to deal with certain doctors and certain patients and certain coworkers. I just ended up feeling sometimes very stressed out and worn out at the end of the day, when the job itself wasn't particularly that difficult. And I think if you're a nurse, you know what I mean. You kind of just start to experience this burnout and this kind of like lack of motivation. And at that time, I was in a relationship that was definitely not the best. That was definitely not the best relationship for me. It was difficult to get out of, but I just started feeling this gnawing feeling of like unhappiness and dissatisfaction. And just, I would describe it as this feeling of like wanting more from life and feeling like I could do more. And there was a potential that I wanted to reach, but I just didn't know how or where. So on to the story of how I came about the idea of the laser hair removal business. It was kind of on accident, actually. So my best friend Cassandra was getting married, and so she was on a bunch of these Facebook buy nothing groups. It's like Facebook groups where people just give things away and you don't have to buy anything. And she's really good at that stuff. So she came across a laser hair removal machine and she called me super excited. And she was like, "Oh my God, bitch, like, should we get this laser hair removal machine? Like, you can just do laser hair removal on me for free." And the machine was for free. And I was beyond excited because these machines cost so much money. I couldn't believe that someone was giving it away for free. So I looked at the machine. Unfortunately, it was an IPL machine, which I'm not used to that technology. I've never used it before. We used a different machine when I was working at the laser hair removal clinic. But after research, I read that it is more painful and it's not as effective. So I did say no to the machine, although it did get us like super excited. And then my friend Cassandra was like, "Why don't you just start your own laser hair removal business regardless?" And I had never thought of doing that. I mean, I've started a lot of businesses in my past, like more than I'd like to mention, and have given up or failed or whatever, quit, and they never really became anything. And with the laser hair removal business, just because it's cosmetic and medical, I just thought it was so complicated. But after doing more research, especially with the resources and things that are available today for us on the internet, it's amazing. So I did more research into it, and I don't know, I just went for it. And the rest is kind of history. So the first step in a business like this, actually, let's rewind a little bit. So of course, there's something in my mouth. So of course everyone and their mom is using ChatGPT, of course. And this is where I will say ChatGPT can be very unreliable in some circumstances. So basically, my idea was first to do the laser hair removal business at home from my house. So I live at home with my dad. I have a bedroom with a connecting other room separated by a barn door. So one is my bedroom where I sleep with my bed, and then the other one I kind of use as like an office or living room space where it has my desk and my sofa. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna convert one of the rooms into the laser room where I can see clients from my house. Cause I thought like people do nails from their house, people cut hair from their house. And I asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT said, yes, I could do it. I brought this idea up to my dad. My dad was fully supportive of it, which was awesome. I was surprised about that because he's usually a very risk-averse kind of person. But I think he's seen over the past few years how hard I've worked. So he's been very supportive in a lot of things that I've brought up. My dad and I started tearing my room apart, like moving my bed over. We threw away my bed frame and the headboard. The room was a mess. I was trying to plan out where the clients would wait in the hallway, how to create this entrance for them to go upstairs, what I would do to the room. And I called the city, asking them if it would be okay and if I needed any permits or licenses, whatever. Basically, long story short, come to find out, you cannot operate this business from home. It's technically considered a medical procedure, so you have to do it in a business setting where it's zoned. So that was the first obstacle that I realized and came across. The second thing, and probably the more important thing to mention, is your legal setup. So California is definitely one of the strictest states for nurse-owned businesses. You have to have a collaborative physician, and then you have to create a professional or medical corporation. Of course, you guys both have to have malpractice and liability insurance, but that's with any medical procedure. And that legal setup I had done a couple years back because, I didn't mention this, but when I was finishing nursing school, I actually wanted to open up my own concierge IV hydration business. And I was taking a course class from Veronica Sutherland, who is otherwise known as V the NP. She's amazing. I've done a lot of coaching with her. I'm still continuing to do coaching with her because that ended up being so relevant to my business now. I had formed all of that back then in 2022. So I just had to kind of get everything up to date, update some legal stuff and documentation with my lawyers. However, if you're not in California, you do have to check with your state laws. Every state is different. Some states don't need certain things. Again, California is one of the more stricter ones. Every state is going to vary state by state by their legal laws. And again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice. This is just what I've come across. So you'll want to consult with a lawyer on that. So you got the legal stuff. So that led me to, now having to find a location to do the laser hair removal services from. Now, I was still working full-time. I'm still working full-time. More on that later. But because I was still working full-time, I was planning on doing the laser hair removal business part-time. So it would be weekends and then 1 or 2 days during the week after work when my days were shorter. So I was looking for suites that would, my idea was that I would look for someone who would let me share their suite part-time, which would lessen my rent. And also I didn't feel like I should rent a whole place by myself if I wasn't going to be there all 7 days a week, because to me it would just be a waste of money. I toured a bunch. I found one like right down the street from where I lived who was going to share with me every Saturday, Sunday because she didn't work weekends. However, on Instagram, I came across Francesca from 3D Beauty Clinic, who does 3D microblading eyebrows, which, by the way, my eyebrows are looking a little crazy here. I don't know if you can tell because I'm kind of far away. But she just touched up my eyebrows so they are flaking and a little itchy, which is why I'm wearing this headband, even though I never really wear headbands. And I feel like I look like a little snow bunny about to go ski. Tangent. Anyways, I came across her suite that she had a room for rent in her suite, and her place was freaking adorable. It was also a great location in Orange County. That's where I'm at, not too far from my house. The rent was amazing. She wasn't doing a part-time rental though. It was my own room, 7 days a week. However, it was the same price that the other lady was going to charge for only letting me share every Saturday, Sunday. And honestly, I knew right off the bat after that first message from Francesca that me and her were just on the same page. She sent me this crazy, amazing detailed message, and then I sent her another detailed message back, which I thought like scared her off and might have been too much detail. But we ended up kind of going back and forth. And she said she was going to help me with social media. And I mean, she's an amazing teacher and mentor and extremely successful herself. So that's what made me take that plunge to go and do a full-time instead of a part-time rental. I did find many other options for part-time. I found another location not too far away, where she was barely there, and I think she was going to charge $400 or $500 a month, which was also a really great alternative. I think that's the one I would have taken if I hadn't found Francesca. So you got the legal setup, the suite. Oh, okay. The next thing I had to do was find the laser hair removal machine. So I looked up the costs and I nearly crapped my pants because I was looking specifically at the Candela Gentle Max Pro because that's the one that I used when I worked at the laser clinic, and it is amazing. It's painless. It has this cryogen that comes out with every laser pulse, which keeps the skin really comfortable and cool, and it works so good. I honestly haven't used any other laser machine, so I don't know. I've just heard through a lot of clients that the other machines are more painful, less effective, yada yada. However, the price tag on these machines are like $100K and up, like literally $100,000 for this machine. I looked it up used and refurbished, but it was still in the like 40, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 range. So I was like, oh, hell no. I did not have that kind of money to be doing that. So I started browsing and looking over on like Alibaba and manufacturers in China. But because it was just in another country and I didn't know if the technology was the same, I honestly started getting really scared. And at this point, I was almost giving up on the idea. I was like, okay, with the suite rental, the machine, I mean, I just didn't have the capital, or so I thought, to start this business, and I was getting very discouraged. However, I don't know how I came across this, maybe just Google searches, but I realized that there were places that would let you rent the machine on like a monthly basis. I did a bunch of research, found a place that finally, I mean, it was still a hefty freaking price for this machine. And so again, I got discouraged because once I started crunching the numbers, because I was just gonna pay for everything out of pocket with my OR income, you know, the excess income that I had coming from there. Luckily, because I live at home and I don't have to pay rent. And honestly, just using credit cards and just, you know, knowing that I was gonna get into a little debt to start this business, but that hopefully it would pay me back soon. But yeah, at that point, I was pretty much at a point where I was like, I don't think this is gonna happen. I didn't plan for things to cost this much. You know, I thought it was gonna be too big of a risk with how much money I would be spending. And then I was talking to my little brother, Zach, who, thank you so much, gave me this idea that he had read from Alex Hormozi's books, basically doing a pre-sale campaign where before you even have your product or services in hand, you create an amazing offer where people can't say no, and then you pre-sale. So that way the pre-sales actually fund your business. And I was like, oh my God, this is a genius idea. But are people actually gonna wanna buy from me, a stranger who they don't know off the internet, and trust me enough to do that? And holy crap, I did. And it worked. Like, before I even had the machine, I was making videos and content on, you know, setting up and FAQs about laser. I was just doing all, you know, all of these sorts of content without the machine, which at first I felt very cringy. Like, how am I supposed to make videos and content when I don't even have the laser machine? Because in my mind, I need to make content while I'm doing laser or with the laser machine in the background or at the suite. And I hadn't even signed on to the suite yet, but I believed the business could work. I wrote a business plan. I met with Francesca. We signed for the suite, started making content, started doing pre-sales. And even before I opened my doors, I had 15 clients booked through pre-sales that literally funded my first month of business. So I knew that the business model worked, and that got me super excited again. And so in order to get clients through the door, especially with a new business and the fact that they didn't really know me, I did a 40% off special off all laser packages, which is package is sessions of 6, because usually people need either around 6 to 10 sessions regardless anyways for the laser to fully work. I say if you do any less than 6 sessions and you don't think it's working, you haven't done enough. But anyways, that was my founding member special offer, and it was just flying off. You know, people would tell their friends, and then their friends would tell their friends, and then eventually I was all booked up and I pre-sold my campaign. So basically for 30 days, I did a campaign where I posted as many videos as possible. Not all of them were talking about the 40% off sale. Some of them were just, like I said, answering frequently asked questions. I tried to do some funny videos, silly videos, which those are my favorite. And so a bunch of different content. And every so often they would lead to the 40% off discount. Okay, now let's get to the numbers. So when I crunched the business plan, I know that a lot of businesses don't really make money in their first year, and you pretty much have to grind for at like bare minimum 1 year before you can give up and say that you tried. So I was expecting to be in the red for at least the first 6 months. And I was expecting to be working both the laser job and my daytime OR job for at least a year, because I thought it'll probably take a year working part-time on the laser for me to actually be able to like make money or see any income go in. Little did I know, I will give you the revenue. So my doors opened August 3rd. That was my first day of business. And for the month of August, the total amount that I invoiced was $8,317, which I'll show you right there. I don't know if you can see that. And I was just floored. Like, I literally thought I was going to have 0 clients, maybe 1 or 2 clients. I thought like 1 or 2 people who felt bad for me were going to be my clients. And this number during my first month just completely like caught me off guard. You know, you get that doubt in your mind, like, okay, maybe this is just the first month and I got lucky. There's no way it can happen again the second month. I ran the same promotion the second month. I extended it. The month of September, I invoiced $14,344. Almost doubled my revenue just because I was making more content, and then again, people were telling their friends and family. So a lot of businesses through referrals. I started doing Instagram ads, which I think really helped a lot because a lot of people found me through Instagram, either my organic content or my ads, and then also Google. So my 3 sources of clients and business were Google searches, Instagram content and Instagram ads, and then just word of mouth with referrals. Again, super excited. I was like, there's no way I can do it the 3rd month. There's absolutely no way. This is just a flop. Let's see what I did in my 3rd month, which is October. So in October, I did $15,298 invoiced. Now, this is with taking 2 weekends off, by the way. 2 weekends out of the month, I took personal time off because I needed to do stuff. And so ideally, honestly, realistically, that number would probably be a lot higher. I still made more than last month, despite not being there. And by month 3, I was getting very burned out. I was not sleeping that much because I was so busy and so stressed out. Oh, by the way, a couple months back or so, my boyfriend at the time and I broke up. So perfect timing. That also sent me on this emotional roller coaster of having to build this business and then having this loss of connection and relationship. Luckily, I gained a couple new friends and new mentors that, I mean, I'm so thankful for, that really, really helped me. My friend Nina helped me so much with just my emotional state and helping me put together the suite. She helped me decorate it. I mean, she was pushing me. Like, I wanted to give up and stop and just lay in a corner and curl up in a ball and cry. And she's like, no, bitch, like, we're doing this, we're finishing this. My dad helped, my family helped out with the electrical stuff. And yeah, it was just amazing. I couldn't have done it alone. And I just want to say thank you to them. So because of those numbers, I felt like it was definitely scalable, and the numbers just made sense for me to quit my daytime OR job and give 100% of my effort to the laser, because if I'm doing that part-time, then if I gave it full-time effort, then I would for sure be growing it exponentially. Amazing news for me. A couple weeks ago, I did put in my resignation letter to my OR job, and my last day of work will be this Friday. I'm super excited. I'm really nervous. There's a lot of anxiety that goes with it, because there's this notion I think a lot of us grow up with, is that the 9-to-5 job is secure. And it is, like, and I'm not knocking anyone who works a 9-to-5. There's a lot of respect there. I'm not knocking that at all. Just the ability to be creative, to work on your own business, to make your own schedule, and, you know, the sky's the limit. Just that feeling of creating something of your own and having it work, and honestly seeing the reaction of my clients when they get the results, and then reading the reviews that they write in, it's just, that part is priceless. So basically, it took me 96 days from the first day of business to quit my job and go full-time to being a business owner doing laser as a registered nurse. And if I could give any of you nurses out there who do want to start your own business, or in particular start a laser hair removal business, I would definitely say don't be scared of the overhead costs, because the revenue that you bring in should way surpass that. So if I look at what I spend every month on overhead costs, I mean, the number seems absurd, but the amount of money that I make so far surpasses that it justifies the overhead costs. You just have to have a plan. You just have to have a business plan in place and a way for you to get clients. As long as you have that and you market early, and you can't be afraid to make content. I think that's probably the number one thing that people would have a hard time with over any of the stuff. Focus on content and marketing and where you're gonna get your clients, rather than silly things like I used to get hung up on, like the logo and the name of your business and the colors, and like things that may be fun to toy around with and play with, but really don't create any income for your business. Another thing I would say to do is, at least in the beginning, is just keep your overhead cost low so that you're not worried and stressed out about what you have to spend. So there were a lot of ways to do this. For example, like I said, you can rent your machine instead of buying it. You also don't have to rent the exact same machine that I use. There are a ton of other options of laser hair removal machines that also work. You don't have to get that particular kind. You can even share the rental with someone. Say you and a friend who's also a nurse want to get into this business together, which I would recommend. You two can split the cost of the rental of the machine. You two can split rent on a suite or somewhere to do your business from. Splitting and sharing like that, especially if you're going to be doing it part-time, is such a good idea. It helps you kind of ease into it rather than going into it 100% and not being sure if it's going to work out, especially if you have a daytime job that you're still working. It's, you know, which takes the majority of your time. And that's it. I hope that this was interesting or helpful. If you're a nurse and you're stuck and you've been thinking about leaving bedside, or you just want to do something different, just know that there are options out there. You don't have to have any sort of special licensing or certification to do laser hair removal, which I love. you know, it's a lot easier than Botox or aesthetics or some of the other things that nurses get into business for. Just know that it's possible, and I'm living proof of it. And I am definitely not smarter than anyone else. I was persistent, and I believed in myself, and I took a chance on myself. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video and you want me to make more videos, please comment, like, and definitely hit the subscribe button. And I will be coming out with another video shortly. Let me know if you guys have any questions or if there's anything else you want to know specifically about how I started my laser hair removal business.